In the heart of ancient Egypt, where the Nile flowed like a lifeline and pharaohs ruled with iron fists, a story unfolded that would echo through eternity. It is the tale of a tyrant who claimed divinity and a child chosen by Allah to rise against him. From a mother's trembling hands placing her newborn into the river, to miracles that shattered arrogance, this is not just history. It is a timeless reminder that truth always prevails over falsehood. This is the journey of Prophet Musa, and Pharaoh, a saga of faith against oppression, courage against tyranny, and divine power against human arrogance. Stay with us as we uncover each chapter of this extraordinary story, from the cradle on the Nile to the splitting of the sea, a story that will inspire your heart, strengthen your faith, and remind you that Allah's promise never fails. Egypt was a land of grandeur, its pyramids towering against the desert sky, its Nile flowing as the lifeblood of civilization. Yet beneath its magnificence lay a shadow of tyranny. Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, had elevated himself beyond kingship, declaring himself divine. His arrogance knew no bounds, and his cruelty was unmatched. He enslaved the children of Israel, forcing them into back-breaking labor, humiliating them, and stripping them of dignity. His decree was merciless. Every newborn boy among Bani Israel was to be killed, while the girls were spared. This was not merely oppression. It was an attempt to erase a generation, to extinguish hope before it could breathe. Mothers lived in constant fear. Fathers bowed their heads in helpless sorrow, and the cries of infants were silenced by the swords of Pharaoh's soldiers. In the midst of this darkness, a child was born. His mother, a woman of faith and trembling heart, held him close, her soul torn between joy and terror. This child was radiant, his face glowing with innocence, his presence filling the room with light. He was Musa, destined to be a prophet, a liberator, a messenger of Allah. Yet at that moment he was simply a newborn, vulnerable to Pharaoh's decree. His mother's heart raced with fear. How could she protect him? How could she keep him safe from the soldiers who roamed the streets, searching for infants to slaughter? It was then that Allah sent inspiration to her heart. In the Quran, Allah says, "And we inspired the mother of Musa, suckle him, but when you fear for him, cast him into the river and do not fear nor grieve. Indeed, we shall return him to you and make him one of the messengers." Surah Al-Qasas 28-7. These words were not spoken aloud, but they filled her heart with certainty. She was commanded to nurse her child, to love him, and when fear overwhelmed her, to place him into the river. It was a command that defied human logic, yet it was divine wisdom. To cast her child into the Nile seemed like abandonment, but in truth it was protection. The river, feared as a grave, would become the cradle of destiny. With trembling hands she obeyed. She suckled her child, tears streaming down her face, and prepared a basket woven with care. She placed Musa inside, her heart breaking with each moment. The Nile flowed before her, vast and powerful, yet unseen angels guided its currents. She lowered the basket into the water, whispering prayers, then trusting her son to the care of Allah. The river carried him away, each ripple a sign of mercy, each current a path of protection. Soldiers patrolled nearby, their eyes blind to the miracle drifting past them. Musa's sister, filled with courage, followed from a distance, watching where the river would take him. The basket drifted toward the palace of Pharaoh. Servants discovered the child, and soon he was brought before Pharaoh's household. Asia, the wife of Pharaoh, beheld the infant. Her heart soft, her soul stirred with compassion. She pleaded with Pharaoh, "He will be a comfort to me and to you. Do not kill him. Perhaps he may benefit us, or we may adopt him as a son." Surah Al-Qasas 28-9. Pharaoh, arrogant and suspicious, scorned the idea, yet Asia's words prevailed. The child was spared. Thus Allah planted his prophet in the very heart of the enemy's home. Where tyranny reigned, mercy blossomed. Where Pharaoh sought to extinguish hope, Allah nurtured it within his own palace. Yet Allah's plan unfolded further. The infant refused every wet nurse brought to him. The Nile carried its fragile cargo to the very heart of power. The basket that held the infant Musa drifted gently until it was discovered by the servants of Pharaoh. What seemed like chance was in truth divine decree. The child who was meant to be slain by Pharaoh's command was instead delivered into his household. Protected by the mercy of Allah, when the infant was brought before Pharaoh's wife, Asia, her heart was moved. She saw in the child a light, a comfort, a blessing. In the Quran, her words are preserved. "He will be a comfort to me and to you. Do not kill him. Perhaps he may benefit us, or we may adopt him as a son." Surah Al-Qasas 28-9. In that moment, compassion triumphed over cruelty. Pharaoh, hardened in arrogance, looked upon the child with suspicion, but Asia's plea prevailed. The decree of death was overturned, and Musa was spared. Thus Allah planted his prophet in the very palace of the tyrant. The halls of Pharaoh, adorned with gold and filled with arrogance, became the place where Musa would grow. The enemy of truth unknowingly nurtured the very one who would rise against him. This was the wisdom of Allah, to place his chosen servant in the heart of the enemy's home, to raise him under the watchful eyes of those who sought to destroy him. Yet Allah's plan unfolded with precision. The infant refused every wet nurse brought to him. Anxiety spread through the palace, for the child would not be comforted. It was then that Musa's sister, who had followed him from afar, approached with wisdom. She suggested a woman who could nurse the child. By Allah's decree, Musa was returned to his mother, safe and nourished, even while being raised in Pharaoh's household. The Quran records, "So we restored him to his mother that she might be comforted and not grieve, and that she might know that the promise of Allah is true." Surah Al-Qasas 28-13. Musa grew in the palace, surrounded by the grandeur of Egypt, yet his heart was shaped by the faith of his mother and the mercy of Allah. He was raised as a prince, educated in the ways of the court, yet destined to be a prophet. Pharaoh's arrogance blinded him to the truth that the child he spared would one day stand before him with the message of Allah. The story of Musa in Pharaoh's palace is a reminder of Allah as power and wisdom. What appears as danger becomes protection. What seems like defeat becomes victory. Allah nurtures his servants in the most unexpected places, turning the plans of tyrants into instruments of his will. Pharaoh sought to destroy, but Allah preserved. Pharaoh sought to silence, but Allah gave voice. Pharaoh sought to erase, but Allah wrote destiny. In the palace of oppression, Musa was raised. In the home of arrogance, faith was nurtured. And in the heart of tyranny, Allah prepared his prophet for the mission that lay ahead. Musa grew into manhood within the walls of Pharaoh's palace. Though raised as a prince, clothed in fine garments, and taught the ways of the court, His heart remained tied to the people of Bani Israel. He saw their suffering, their humiliation, their endless toil under the whips of Pharaoh's overseers. Each day the cries of the oppressed echoed in his soul, reminding him that he was not truly of the palace, but of the enslaved. One day Musa walked through the streets of Egypt and witnessed a quarrel. An Israelite, weak and oppressed, was being struck by an Egyptian. The Israelite called out to Musa for help. Musa, moved by anger and a sense of justice, intervened. In the struggle, Musa struck the Egyptian, and the man fell lifeless to the ground. Musa had not intended to kill, but the blow was fatal. Shock filled his heart. He looked upon the lifeless body, realizing the gravity of what had happened. The Quran records his words. He said, "This is of the work of Satan. Indeed, he is a manifest, misleading enemy." Surah Al-Qasas 28-15. Musa was overcome with remorse. He turned to Allah, seeking forgiveness, and Allah forgave him. Yet the incident could not be hidden. Whispers spread through the city. The death of an Egyptian at the hands of Musa became known, and Pharaoh's anger began to stir. The next day, Musa again found himself in the midst of conflict. The same Israelite who had called for his help was quarreling once more, this time with another Egyptian. Musa approached, but the man cried out, exposing Musa's role in the previous death. Fear gripped Musa's heart. He realized that his deed was no longer a secret. Pharaoh's men would come for him. It was then that a man came running from the far side of the city, warning him, "O Musa, indeed the chiefs are plotting to kill you, so leave immediately." "Indeed, I am to you a sincere advisor." Surah Al-Qasas 28-20. Musa's heart raced. He knew the warning was true. Pharaoh's counsel would not spare him. He could no longer remain in Egypt. So Musa fled, leaving behind the palace that had raised him, the city that had sheltered him, and the people he longed to protect. He walked alone, with no provisions, no companions, only fear in his heart, and trust in Allah to guide his steps. The Quran describes, "So he left it, fearful and anticipating, and he said, 'My Lord, save me from the wrongdoing people.'" Surah Al-Qasas 28-21. Musa journeyed toward Madian, a distant land beyond the deserts. Each step was heavy, each breath filled with uncertainty. Hunger gnawed at him, exhaustion weighed upon him, yet his faith carried him forward. He had left Egypt not in triumph, but in desperation. Yet within this flight lay the unfolding of Allah's plan. The scholars of Tafsir explain that Musa's departure was not merely escape, it was preparation. Egypt had been the place of his upbringing, but Madian would be the place of his transformation. In Egypt, he had lived as a prince. In Madian, he would live as a shepherd. In Egypt, he had been surrounded by arrogance. In Madian, he would learn humility. Allah was guiding him from one stage of life to another, shaping him for the mission that awaited. Musa's flight from Egypt is a reminder that even in hardship, Allah's plan is at work. What seemed like defeat was in truth the beginning of a greater journey. What seemed like exile was in truth protection. Musa left Egypt in fear, but he would return one day with strength. He fled as a fugitive, but he would return as a prophet. This chapter teaches that mistakes do not define destiny. Musa struck the Egyptian and was overcome with remorse, yet Allah forgave him and continued to guide him. His error became the path to his mission. It also teaches that hardship is preparation. Musa's journey through the desert was not punishment, but training. In solitude, he learned reliance upon Allah, In hunger, he learned patience. In exile, he learned resilience. And it teaches that Allah's plan unfolds even through fear. Musa fled Egypt with no certainty of survival, yet each step was guided. The warning of the man, the path to Madian, the protection from Pharaoh, all were signs of Allah's mercy. From the palace to the desert, from prince to fugitive, Musa's flight from Egypt was not the end of his story, but the beginning of his mission. In the silence of exile, Allah was preparing his prophet for the call that would soon come. Musa, had fled Egypt in fear, crossing deserts and valleys until he reached the land of Madian. There he found refuge, married, and lived a life of simplicity as a shepherd. Years passed, and the palace of Pharaoh became a distant memory. Yet within Musa's heart, the cries of Bani Israel still echoed. He had left Egypt as a fugitive, but Allah was preparing him to return as a prophet. One day, while traveling with his family, Musa journeyed through the desert. The night was cold, and darkness surrounded them. As he walked, he saw a light upon the side of Mount Sinai. It flickered like fire, yet it was unlike any fire he had ever seen. Musa turned to his family and said, "Stay here. Indeed, I have perceived a fire. Perhaps I can bring you from it some information, or a burning torch that you may warm yourselves." Surah Al-Qasas 28-29. Musa approached the light, his steps cautious yet compelled. As he drew nearer, he realized this was no ordinary fire. It was a radiant glow, a divine manifestation. Suddenly, a voice called out to him from the direction of the fire, "O Musa, indeed I am Allah, the Lord of the worlds." Surah Al-Qasas 28 minutes and 30 seconds. Musa trembled. The mountain shook with the weight of revelation. He stood in awe, hearing the voice of his Creator. Allah commanded Musa to remove his sandals, for he was standing in a sacred valley, Tuwa. Musa lowered himself in humility, his heart overwhelmed by the majesty of the moment. Allah then spoke to him, granting him a mission. "Go to Pharaoh. Indeed, he has transgressed." Surah Taha 20:24. Musa was chosen as a prophet, entrusted with the task of confronting the tyrant who had enslaved his people. Yet Musa's heart was filled with hesitation. He remembered his past, his flight from Egypt, his fear of Pharaoh's wrath. He said, "My Lord, I killed one of them, and I fear they will kill me. And my brother Harun is more eloquent than me in speech, so send him with me as support to confirm me. Indeed, I fear they will deny me." Surah Al-Qasas 28-33-34. Allah, in His mercy, granted Musa's request. Harun would accompany him, a brother in faith and mission. Together they would stand before Pharaoh, armed not with armies, but with truth. Allah reassured Musa, "We will strengthen your arm through your brother, and we will give you both authority, so they will not reach you. Go, you and your brother, with our signs, and do not slacken in my remembrance." Surah Al-Qasas 28-35. To prepare Musa for his mission, Allah granted him miracles. He commanded Musa to cast down his staff, and it became a serpent, moving swiftly. He commanded him to place his hand inside his cloak, and when he withdrew it, it shone with radiant light. These signs were not tricks, but proofs of divine power, weapons of truth against arrogance. The encounter at Mount Sinai was the turning point in Musa's life. He had fled Egypt in fear, but now he was commanded to return with courage. He had lived as a shepherd, but now he was appointed as a prophet. He had once struck an Egyptian in anger, but now he would strike at tyranny with the message of Allah. This chapter teaches that Allah calls his servants when the time is right. Musa's years in exile were not wasted. They were preparation. His solitude taught him patience. His shepherding taught him humility. His exile taught him reliance upon Allah. When the call came, he was ready. It also teaches that Allah equips his servants for their mission. Musa feared his speech, but Allah gave him Harun. Musa feared Pharaoh's power, but Allah gave him miracles. Musa feared rejection, but Allah gave him reassurance. The mission was daunting, but the support was divine. And it teaches that revelation is both a gift and a responsibility. Musa was chosen not for comfort, but for confrontation. He was called not to rest, but to struggle. The burning bush was not merely a sign of wonder. It was the beginning of a mission that would challenge the greatest tyrant of his age. From the desert to the mountain, from shepherd to prophet, Musa's call at Mount Sinai was the moment destiny was revealed. Allah spoke to him directly, entrusted him with a mission, and armed him with signs. The fugitive would return as a messenger, the shepherd would confront the king, and the voice of truth would rise against the roar of arrogance. Musa as, now armed with revelation and strengthened by the presence of his brother Harun as, returned to Egypt. The land he had fled in fear was now the place of his mission. He did not return as a fugitive, but as a prophet chosen by Allah. His steps were steady, his heart filled with faith, and his tongue guided by divine command. He and Harun entered the court of Pharaoh, the tyrant who had enslaved their people and declared himself divine. The palace was filled with arrogance, its walls adorned with gold, its halls echoing with the pride of Pharaoh's claims. Yet into this place of grandeur walked two men, clothed not in wealth, but in truth. Musa spoke with clarity, "O Pharaoh, I am a messenger from the Lord of the worlds. It is incumbent upon me that I speak nothing about Allah except the truth. I have come to you with clear evidence from your Lord. So send with me the children of Israel." Surah Al-A'raf 7 to 104-105. Pharaoh scoffed. His arrogance flared. He mocked Musa, reminding him of his upbringing in the palace and the incident of the Egyptian he had slain. He accused Musa of ingratitude, of rebellion, of falsehood. But Musa stood firm. He did not deny his past, but he declared his mission. "Indeed, I did it then while I was of those astray, so I fled from you when I feared you. Then my Lord granted me judgment and made me one of the messengers." Surah Al-Shu'ara 26 to 2021. Pharaoh's pride grew. He demanded proof. Musa cast down his staff, and it became a serpent, moving swiftly before their eyes. He placed his hand into his cloak, and when he withdrew it, it shone with radiant light. These were signs from Allah, miracles that no sorcery could imitate. Yet Pharaoh's heart remained hardened. He accused Musa of sorcery, claiming that he sought to drive the people from their land. He summoned his magicians, confident that they could defeat Musa. But the confrontation was not merely between Musa and Pharaoh. It was between truth and falsehood, faith and arrogance, divine power and human pride. This chapter teaches that truth must confront arrogance, even when the odds seem overwhelming. Musa and Harun stood before the most powerful man of their age, yet they were not intimidated. Their strength came not from armies or wealth, but from faith in Allah. Pharaoh's palace was filled with grandeur, but it was empty of truth. Musa's words were simple, but they carried the weight of revelation. It also teaches that arrogance blinds the heart. Pharaoh saw the miracles, yet he dismissed them. He heard the message, yet he mocked it. His pride prevented him from seeing what was clear. This is the danger of arrogance. It blinds even in the face of undeniable signs. And it teaches that Allah supports His servants. Musa feared his speech, but Allah gave him Harun. Musa feared rejection, but Allah gave him miracles. Musa feared Pharaoh's power, but Allah gave him reassurance. The confrontation was daunting, but the support was divine. From the desert to the palace, from shepherd to prophet, Musa's confrontation with Pharaoh was the moment truth stood before tyranny. The staff became a serpent, the hand shone with light, and the voice of revelation rose against the roar of arrogance. The stage was set for the contest that would follow, where falsehood would collapse before divine truth. And so the story of Musa, Ass, and Pharaoh unfolds, a tale of faith against oppression, of truth against arrogance, of divine power against human pride. From his miraculous birth upon the Nile, to his upbringing in Pharaoh's palace, to his flight in fear and his call at Mount Sinai, Musa's journey reminds us that Allah's promise never fails. Pharaoh's tyranny sought to silence hope, but Allah nurtured it in the very heart of his palace. Pharaoh's arrogance sought to deny truth, but Allah revealed it with miracles. And Pharaoh's armies sought to destroy, but Allah saved the believers and drowned the oppressors. This story is not just history, it is a timeless lesson. Faith triumphs over oppression. Arrogance leads to destruction. Trust in Allah brings deliverance. In every age and every struggle, the story of Musa and Pharaoh reminds us to stand firm against injustice, to rely upon Allah in trials, and to believe that truth will always prevail. Pharaoh's pride had been wounded. Musa, Ass, had stood before him, not as a servant, but as a messenger of Allah. He had spoken with clarity, performed miracles, and demanded the release of Bani Israel. Pharaoh, unable to dismiss the signs, resorted to deflection. He accused Musa of sorcery, claiming that his miracles were mere tricks designed to deceive the people and stir rebellion. To preserve his authority and humiliate Musa publicly, Pharaoh summoned the most skilled magicians from across Egypt. These were men trained in illusion, masters of deception, revered by the people for their craft. Pharaoh promised them reward and honor if they could defeat Musa. The contest was set. It would take place before the people in broad daylight, so that all could witness the outcome. The Quran recounts Pharaoh's command, "Call to me every learned magician." Surah Yunus 10-79. The magicians arrived confident in their abilities, eager for the prize. They asked Pharaoh, "Will there surely be a reward for us if we are the winners?" He replied, "Yes, and you will be among those made near to me." Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26 minutes and 41 seconds 42. Musa stood before them, calm and resolute. The magicians asked, "O Musa, will you throw first, or shall we be the first to throw?" Musa replied, "You throw." Surah Taha 20-65-66. The magicians cast down their ropes and staffs, and by their magic they appeared to slither like snakes. The crowd gasped. The illusion was powerful. The ground seemed alive with movement. For a moment Musa felt fear, but Allah reassured him, "Do not be afraid. Indeed, it is you who are superior." Surah Taha 20-68. Musa cast down his staff, and it transformed into a real serpent, not an illusion, but a living creature by the command of Allah. It moved swiftly and swallowed the false snakes one by one. The magicians stood stunned. Their craft had been exposed. Their illusions had collapsed before divine truth. In that moment, the magicians knew what they had witnessed was not sorcery. It was a miracle. They fell to the ground in prostration and declared, "We believe in the Lord of Musa and Harun." Surah Taha 20-70. Pharaoh was enraged. His plan had backfired. The very men he had summoned to defeat Musa had now believed in his message. Pharaoh threatened them. "You have believed in him before I gave you permission. Surely this is a conspiracy you have plotted in the city to expel its people. But you will know. I will surely cut off your hands and feet on opposite sides, then crucify you all." Surah Al-A'raf 7-123-124. But the magicians were no longer afraid. Their hearts had been opened to faith. They replied, "Indeed, we are returning to our Lord, and you do not avenge us except because we believed in the signs of our Lord when they came to us." Surah Al-A'raf 7-125-126. This chapter is a powerful testament to the triumph of truth over falsehood. The magicians, once masters of illusion, recognized the reality of divine power. Their transformation was immediate and sincere. They had come seeking reward from Pharaoh, but they found guidance from Allah. Their belief cost them their lives, but they chose faith over fear, truth over tyranny. It also teaches that Allah's signs are clear to those whose hearts are open. The magicians had spent their lives in deception, yet one moment of truth changed everything. Their humility allowed them to see what Pharaoh could not. Their courage allowed them to stand firm, even in the face of death. And it teaches that falsehood, no matter how elaborate, collapses when confronted with divine truth. The ropes and staffs appeared as snakes, but they were illusions. Musa's staff became a real serpent, swallowing the lies. This is the nature of truth. It does not need embellishment. It simply reveals itself and prevails. From the court of Pharaoh to the hearts of the magicians, the contest was not just a spectacle, it was a turning point. It showed that even those closest to falsehood can be guided. It showed that miracles are not just signs, but invitations to believe. And it showed that when truth is revealed, the sincere will recognize it, even if it costs them everything. Pharaoh's pride had been wounded. Musa, as, had stood before him, not as a servant, but as a messenger of Allah. He had spoken with clarity, performed miracles, and demanded the release of Bani Israel. Pharaoh, unable to dismiss the signs, resorted to deflection. He accused Musa of sorcery, claiming that his miracles were mere tricks designed to deceive the people and stir rebellion. To preserve his authority and humiliate Musa publicly, Pharaoh summoned the most skilled magicians from across Egypt. These were men trained in illusion, masters of deception, revered by the people for their craft. Pharaoh promised them reward and honor if they could defeat Musa. The contest was set. It would take place before the people in broad daylight, so that all could witness the outcome. The Quran recounts Pharaoh's command, "Call to me every learned magician." Surah Yunus 10-79. The magicians arrived, confident in their abilities, eager for the prize. They asked Pharaoh, "Will there surely be a reward for us if we are the winners?" He replied, "Yes, and you will be among those made near to me." Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26 minutes and 41 seconds 42. Musa stood before them, calm and resolute. The magicians asked, "O Musa, will you throw first, or shall we be the first to throw?" Musa replied, "You throw." Surah Taha 20 to 65-66. The magicians cast their ropes and staffs, and by their magic they appeared to slither like snakes. The crowd gasped. The illusion was powerful. The ground seemed alive with movement. For a moment Musa felt fear, but Allah reassured him, "Do not be afraid. Indeed, it is you who are superior." Surah Taha 20 to 68. Musa cast down his staff, and it transformed into a real serpent, not an illusion, but a living creature by the command of Allah. It moved swiftly and swallowed the false snakes one by one. The magicians stood stunned. Their craft had been exposed. Their illusions had collapsed before divine truth. In that moment, the magicians knew what they had witnessed was not sorcery. It was a miracle. They fell to the ground in prostration and declared, "We believe in the Lord of Musa and Harun." Surah Taha 20 to 70. Pharaoh was enraged. His plan had backfired. The very men he had summoned to defeat Musa had now believed in his message. Pharaoh threatened them, "You have believed in him before I gave you permission. Surely this is a conspiracy you have plotted in the city to expel its people. But you will know. I will surely cut off your hands and feet on opposite sides, then crucify you all." Surah Al-A'raf 7 to 123 to 124. But the magicians were no longer afraid. Their hearts had been opened to faith. They replied, "Indeed, we are returning to our Lord, and you do not avenge us except because we believed in the signs of our Lord when they came to us." Surah Al-A'raf 7 to 125 to 126. This chapter is a powerful testament to the triumph of truth over falsehood. The magicians, once masters of illusion, recognized the reality of divine power. Their transformation was immediate and sincere. They had come seeking reward from Pharaoh, but they found guidance from Allah. Their belief cost them their lives, but they chose faith over fear, truth over tyranny. It also teaches that Allah's signs are clear to those whose hearts are open. The magicians had spent their lives in deception, yet one moment of truth changed everything. Their humility allowed them to see what Pharaoh could not. Their courage allowed them to stand firm, even in the face of death. And it teaches that falsehood, no matter how elaborate, collapses when confronted with divine truth. The ropes and staffs appeared as snakes, but they were illusions. Musa's staff became a real serpent, swallowing the lies. This is the nature of truth. It does not need embellishment. It simply reveals itself and prevails. From the court of Pharaoh to the hearts of the magicians, the contest was not just a spectacle, it was a turning point. It showed that even those closest to falsehood can be guided. It showed that miracles are not just signs, but invitations to believe. And it showed that when truth is revealed, the sincere will recognize it, even if it costs them everything. The plagues had come one after another, each more devastating than the last. The Nile turned to blood, frogs swarmed the land, lice and locusts consumed the crops. Darkness suffocated the people, and famine weakened the nation. Each time Pharaoh promised release, each time he broke his word. His arrogance blinded him, his pride chained him, and his tyranny continued. But the decree of Allah was unfolding. The time had come for deliverance. Musa, gathered Bani Israel. the oppressed people who had long suffered under Pharaoh's whip. He called them to prepare, to trust in Allah, and to follow him out of Egypt. In the stillness of the night, they moved, thousands of men, women, and children, carrying what little they could. Their footsteps echoed with hope, their hearts trembled with fear, but their faith carried them forward. When Pharaoh learned of their departure, his rage ignited. He summoned his armies, chariots gleaming, soldiers armed, determined to crush the fleeing slaves. He pursued them with fury, confident that his power would prevail. The Quran describes, so they pursued them at sunrise. And when the two companies saw one another, the companions of Musa said, "Indeed, we are to be overtaken." Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26-60-61. The people panicked. Before them lay the vast Red Sea, its waters stretching endlessly. Behind them thundered Pharaoh's army, relentless and merciless. Trapped between sea and sword, despair filled their hearts. They cried out to Musa, certain that destruction was upon them. But Musa stood firm. His faith did not waver. He declared with certainty, "No, indeed with me is my Lord. He will guide me." Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26-62. In that moment of desperation, Allah revealed his command. Musa was instructed to strike the sea with his staff. He raised it high and brought it down upon the waters. The miracle unfolded. The sea parted, its waters rising like towering walls on either side. A dry path appeared, stretching across the seabed. The people stared in awe, their fear replaced with wonder. They stepped forward, crossing the sea on foot, guided by the mercy of Allah. The Quran records, "Then we inspired Musa, strike with your staff the sea, and it parted, and each portion was like a great towering mountain." Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26-63. Pharaoh and his army pursued, charging into the path, blinded by arrogance, driven by rage. But when Musa and his people had crossed safely, Allah commanded the waters to return. The sea collapsed upon Pharaoh and his soldiers, drowning them in its depths. Their cries were silenced, their arrogance destroyed, their tyranny ended. The Quran declares, "And we saved Musa and those with him all together. Then we drowned the others." Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26-65-66. Pharaoh, in his final moments, sought to declare belief. He cried out, "I believe that there is no deity except that in whom the children of Israel believe, and I am of the Muslims." Surah Yunus 10-90. But it was too late. Faith at the moment of death is not accepted. His arrogance had sealed his fate. Allah responded, "Now? And you had disobeyed before and were of the corruptors." Surah Yunus 10-91. Pharaoh's body was preserved as a sign for generations to come, a reminder of the consequences of pride and defiance. The Exodus was complete. Bani Israel had been delivered. The sea had split, the oppressor had drowned, and the promise of Allah had been fulfilled. The people who had lived in chains now walked free, guided by the Prophet who had once been a child in a basket upon the Nile. This chapter teaches that Allah saves the believers and destroys tyranny. It shows that faith triumphs even in the face of despair. When the people saw only the sea and the army, Musa saw Allah's guidance. His certainty became their salvation. It also teaches that arrogance leads to destruction. Pharaoh had every chance to repent, every sign to believe, yet he chose pride. His end was a lesson for all who follow. From the Nile to the Red Sea, from cradle to confrontation, Musa's journey was a testament to Allah's mercy and power. The Exodus was not just the escape of a people, It was the triumph of faith over oppression, truth over falsehood, and divine promise over human arrogance. The story of Musa, Ass, and Pharaoh is not merely a tale of ancient Egypt. It is a timeless narrative, a mirror held up to humanity, showing the consequences of arrogance and the triumph of faith. From the cradle on the Nile to the splitting of the sea, every chapter carries lessons that echo across generations. Faith triumphed over oppression. Musa's mother, trembling with fear, placed her newborn into the river, trusting in Allah's promise. That act of faith became the beginning of deliverance. Asia, living in the palace of Tyranny, saw in the child a blessing and defended him with compassion. The magicians, once servants of falsehood, recognized truth and bowed in submission to Allah. Each of these moments reminds us that faith, even in the smallest acts, can overcome the greatest oppression. Arrogance led to destruction. Pharaoh saw the signs: blood, frogs, locusts, lice, darkness, famine, yet his pride blinded him. He witnessed miracles, the staff becoming a serpent, the hand shining with light, the sea splitting before his eyes, yet his heart remained sealed. His arrogance became his downfall. The Quran preserves his final cry of belief, rejected because it came too late. His body was left as a sign, a warning to all who follow the path of pride. Trust in Allah brought deliverance. Musa stood before the sea, with Pharaoh's army behind him and despair surrounding him. Yet he declared with certainty, "Indeed, with me is my Lord. He will guide me." That trust parted the waters, saved a nation, and drowned a tyrant. It is a reminder that when all paths seem closed, Allah opens a way. When fear overwhelms, faith brings salvation. The modern relevance of this story is clear. In every age, oppression rises, arrogance blinds, and tyranny seeks to silence truth. Yet the lessons of Musa remain. Stand firm against injustice. Do not be deceived by arrogance. Trust in Allah in times of trial. The story of Musa and Pharaoh is not locked in the past. It is alive in every struggle for truth, every stand against oppression, every act of faith in the face of fear. From the basket on the Nile to the waves of the Red Sea, Musa's journey is a beacon of hope. It teaches that Allah's promise never fails, that truth always prevails, and that faith is stronger than fear. Pharaoh's downfall is a warning. Musa's deliverance is an inspiration, and the entire story is a reminder that the struggle between truth and falsehood continues in every generation. From the cradle on the Nile to the waves of the Red Sea, the story of Prophet Musa, Ass, and Pharaoh is a saga of faith, courage, and divine power. It begins with a mother's trembling hands placing her child into the river, trusting in Allah's promise. It unfolds in Pharaoh's palace, where arrogance sought to destroy but mercy preserved. It continues through exile and revelation, through confrontation and miracles, through plagues and defiance, until it reaches its climax at the sea, where believers were saved and tyranny was drowned. Every chapter carries a lesson. Faith triumphs over oppression. Arrogance blinds and leads to destruction. Trust in Allah brings deliverance when all paths seem closed. The magicians who bowed in prostration remind us that truth is clear to those who seek it. The plagues remind us that warnings are given before punishment. The splitting of the sea reminds us that Allah opens a way where none seems possible. This is not just history. It is a timeless reminder. In every age, oppression rises, arrogance blinds, and tyranny seeks to silence truth. Yet the story of Musa stands as a beacon. Stand firm against injustice, rely upon Allah in trials, and believe that truth will always prevail. And so, as we conclude this journey, let us carry its lessons into our lives. Let us remember that Allah's promise never fails, that His mercy is greater than fear, and that His power is beyond all human pride. The story of Musa and Pharaoh is not locked in the past. It lives in every struggle for truth, every stand against oppression, every act of faith in the face of fear. This concludes our series on Prophet Musa, and Pharaoh. From his miraculous birth to the splitting of the sea, Musa's story is a reminder that truth always prevails over falsehood. Don't forget to subscribe to newer stories like this video and share it with friends so more people can learn from these timeless lessons. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.